Okay, today I just wanted to quickly do an update on my raspberries. I've tried to grow raspberries where we live. It's harsh climate. A lot of you guys that are in uh, have homes or a cabin that you're trying to grow, or whatever wherever you're at, trying to grow raspberries. Those of you who have difficulty growing them, I'm going to throw some pointers. 20 years I've spent trying to grow raspberries where I live. The growing season is super short where I'm at, but that also benefits those of you who might have a bad year, or those of you who just want to have a better productivity with your raspberries. So I want to show you outside. Over the years, I've grown them in the garden. The weeds have overtaken them. I've tried to fight that off. Then I found, well, I'm going to try growing them along rows and have weed block all along them. And those are, there's ways that you can do it to avoid a lot of the weeds and make it low maintenance, easy picking. And I've wound up coming back to the grow box, which has seemed to work fantastic. But if your season is very short, here's some tricks that I've learned over the years. A couple of things that I tried out and outside. If your growing season is really a tough growing season, and you have a short growing season, and it frosts really early, and then it frosts, and you have frost until late in the year, here's some tips that I'm going to give you. But I'm going to go ahead and go out and show you some of them that I have outside. I'll put this on pause right here. Okay, right here is just a remnant of my, when I grew these raspberries right up against the side of the house. That helped. It extended the growing season, and this is about as good of raspberries as I've ever been able to produce in this area. If you guys have a condition that's even similar to this, you might find that these are an ever-bearing strawberry, and the reason why, raspberry, the only reason why, and they're just, look at them, they're starting to produce. We've been freezing for about 3 weeks at night, and the frost hasn't quite come in next to the home here, but it just deforms them. And our growing season's so short, but by the time they start producing right here, they die. I mean, we've picked just a couple of these little teeny silly, well, let's see if you can even see. I don't know if that's showing them. They're just not that good of a condition. So, but this is one way, and some of you will benefit phenomenally by just planting them up next to the house. I build kind of a grow box with weed barrier under it. I don't want the maintenance. I don't have the time to do it. We'll go back into the greenhouse here where I was showing you at first, but this is about as good as you can get. I put boards up in my garden up in front of the raspberries to try and keep them from dying down to the ground. What happens is if you get a June-bearing strawberry, then the frost, if it kills it down to the ground like it does every year with any of them that I plant here, kills it right to the ground. And so when it comes up, you don't get anything on your raspberries. They won't even produce because they're a June bear. If you get an ever-bearing raspberry, then you get a plant that starts to produce its berries late in the season. And at least you get berries off of something that shoots right from the ground. So I had to go with an ever-bearing, not the June-bearing. June-bearing, if you live in June-bearing ones, if you live in a harsh environment and it kills it to the ground, then you'll want to go with an ever-bearing. Personally, I like the ever-bearing anyway. So the ever-bearing strawberries, raspberries. So let's go in there and I'll explain. So this year in my greenhouse, I took some of these starts from out here, just the remainder of the last ones, because I just pretty much gave up on them. You might get one bowl of raspberries out here. So let's go back into the greenhouse. I'll show you what I did in there with my grow boxes. Okay, as I come into the greenhouse right here, oh, it's still humid in here. My raspberries in here, I planted them February or March, and I pulled them out whatever I could and just planted them in these 2 grow boxes. at the very end. And I just planted them all, the little teeny, roots, and they came up from the ground. But the greenhouse is so amazing that these things, literally this first year, I planted them this year. These 2 boxes were planted this year in these grow boxes. And yes, you can see how I don't like weeding. I don't like maintenance. I want a maintenance-free garden. So I plant them in these grow boxes. If you've seen the other videos, you'll see how I kind of have done this. So we've been picking bowlfuls of raspberries for a month. I mean, and they just keep on producing and producing. These are the ever-bearing. Ever-bearing will produce even on the first year's growth. This is why I love these things, especially those of us that live in harsh environments. We picked all of these yesterday, and these are just some that I don't know if got missed or the day before. No, it was probably yesterday. But I mean, look at these beautiful berries. I mean, they're just thick in here. And these are almost ready to be picked again. But what I need to do clearly, and I just haven't done it because, like I said, I don't have much time, and most of us don't have the time to spend out weeding and preparing. So what I need to do is I'm going to use strings, and I'll make it so that they stay off the ground. When you're in a greenhouse, they don't have the winds hitting them, so they're a little bit weak, and they just kind of fall over because the winds strengthen up the fibers in them. But in a greenhouse, they'll just lay over. So you need to string them up. Put a string. I'm going to make it simple. The string will stay there year to year to year. And then if I want June bearing, then I don't cut them to the ground. I leave the stalks, and they'll come up. The June bearing ones will come up in June off of the previous year's stalk, and then they'll still shoot out all sorts of shoots out of the bottom. And in a greenhouse like this, you'll get them all the way from June all the way into September and into October. And so, I mean, it's just amazing what you can get in a greenhouse with raspberries. So we dedicated 2 boxes to doing just this. Absolutely pleased with it. These are all first year starts, but it's just thick. Now I know they're laying on top of each other, but if you lift any of those up, there's just raspberries underneath them galore. So this is a great way to do it. I don't want to make too lengthy of a video, but again, after 20 years of not being able to get anything, we are just so pleased, and I will dedicate 2 boxes any day to this. You can just produce them like crazy in these boxes. And again, look, they're laying over on top of each other. You can see my lack of maintenance out here. But if you're like me, who has the time for all of it? So these are wonderful. They're self-maintaining. And yeah, some of them have fallen off onto the ground because I've kind of lacked a little bit but I mean, you can see how we've just been picking. Those are picked ones, and then just right on down this thing, and they just produce. So anyway, yeah, if you just lift any of these up, let's see if I can see, but they're in there. What else would be a helpful thing? Love growing in the greenhouse. We just love it. I will try to get... Oh, sorry, I'm shaking this thing all over the place. I will try to get some more videos. I wanted to show you, we did potatoes this year, our tomatoes. We picked all the tomatoes. Again, tomatoes have been just going crazy. Anyway, we will, and then I'm going to give you some tips on different ways that we've used natural minerals that we put into the soil. That our body needs anyway. But anyway, that's a quick, not so quick, it took a little bit too long, but I hope I portrayed how you can grow amazing raspberries in a greenhouse, and they just produce and produce and produce and produce, and way into the late of the year. We've been getting frosts and these things outside the greenhouse. These things are just going nuts inside here. Again, never been able to even produce where we're at. I just gave up on them, and then I finally built this greenhouse, and it's been a godsend. All right, good luck. Have any questions, please post them. God bless.